This is a new Ford Focus, and it's a bit like your best mate from school that you've sort of lost touch with. You see, the Focus used to be one of the best-selling cars in Britain, but now it's fallen out of the top 10 bestsellers list as people are switching over from normal hatchbacks such as this to SUVs. To counter that though, Ford has made some design changes, some tech changes, some engine changes, and in this video I'm going to talk you through all of those. I'm going to show you around the exterior, the interior, see how practical the car is, take it for a drive, and of course launch it to see how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour, because I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Car Wow. And if you like car review videos and you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to this channel and hit that bell icon to turn your notifications on. That way you won't miss a single upload. Buy, sell, Car Wow. Let's start off by talking about the design of the new Focus. I say new, it's not really new, it's just a few minor cosmetic changes here on the outside. So the general over design of the rear is very similar to before. It's quite a neat and tidy car. However, Ford have changed the tail lights. So they're a slightly different design, and you get like a loopy effect when they're illuminated, which is quite nice. So what's also nice, twin exhaust pipes on this car, and as I'll illustrate with the Car Wow Stick of Truth, they be real. No fakery, it's good. Moving down the side, so you've got some new alloy wheel designs. Alloy wheels start at 16 inches, which is too small, rising up to 19 inches on the sporty ST model. There's very little changes to the side of the car to before. Once again, it's quite a good looking car really. Moving to the front, they have increased the height of the bonnet to give the car more presence, apparently. There's new LED headlights as well. The grille is slightly bigger than before, and Ford have moved their badge to the grille. It used to be on the bonnet. I'm sure that in 3 years' time they'll probably move it back onto the bonnet. That's what car makers do. So then, the price. The new Ford Focus range starts at just over £26,000, though thankfully you can save an average of almost £2,500 off a new Ford Focus through Car Wow. Here on the inside, the biggest change to the Focus is this, the new infotainment screen. It also runs Ford's latest Sync 4 system, which you get on the Mustang Mach-E. It's a little bit laggy at times, but generally it's okay and easy to use. One of the things that's not so good though is that you used to have the climate control buttons down there, like knobs and dials, which you could operate quite quickly. You now have to use them on the touchscreen. They are always visible, but like for the fan, you have to press a button, then slide the slider or press up and down. Likewise with the temperature, pressing up and down, then you get this thing pop up on the screen. It's not terrible, but it's not as good as how it used to be. I do like the fact that they've moved the starter button, which used to be over here, and now it's there, so it's just in your direct line of sight. That's good. Tell you what's also good, you've got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which, tell you the truth, that's what I'll be using, not the inbuilt navigation system at all. Now, you've also got a new digital driver's display, which is full screen. You only get on the top 3 trim levels out of 6. The lower 3 get a part digital screen and analog dials. It's a bit mean. As for the driving position, it's unchanged. It's very good in the Focus. I really like it, and it's easy to find your ideal position. Overall design and quality, pretty decent. So we've got squidgy materials here on the dash, which look expensive, and it's quite soft here on the doors and stuff like that. It's only when you go a bit further down, things get a bit scratchy. And yeah, that feels a little bit flimsy, but it's not the worst. Storage is okay. So you've got some storage under here, and you've got a place for your key there. That's good. There's wireless charging zone there, but obviously you don't get on all models, only the higher trims. You do have USB-C, normal USB, and a 12-volt socket all clustered there as well, so it's nice and handy for charging your phone. The glove box is a reasonable size, so too the door bins, and they're lined with felt, so whatever you put in there doesn't rattle about, which is good if you've got one of these metal flasks, you don't have it rattling away doing your head in as you're driving down the road. It's reasonably comfy in the back of the Ford Focus, so knee room's pretty good. Headroom is it's tight if you have the optional panoramic glass roof, which is nice, but it costs almost £1,000. And if you're going to be carrying taller rear passengers, they might struggle for headroom. The car without it, though, has more headspace, and taller people will be fine. It's actually all right to carry 3 in the back at once. You've got a lot of foot space for everybody, and the car's reasonably wide that you're not too cramped with your shoulders. Now, some models are available with this feature, look, through loading there, which is quite handy if you need to carry longer items such as skis and 2 people either side. Probably not going to be skis, it might be, I don't know, lamps that you bought from IKEA or something. Who knows? When it comes to carrying a baby, fitting a baby seat is actually all right. You do have to remove the flip-off Isofix covers to reveal these anchor points, but then they're very easy to get to. And those guides help you locate it without any messing about. And there's enough space back here that you can even fit a bulky rear-facing seat without having to move the front passenger seat forward at all. Other elements of practicality, we've got some nets on the back of the seats. That looks a bit cheap to tell you the truth. You've got normal USB and USB-C there as well. Bit unfortunate if everyone's got a new phone, you have to fight over the USB-C. Door bins are big in the back, and once again they are lined with felt, so you don't get the rattly rattle. That's all good. Now let's check out the boot. So the capacity is 392 litres, but if you can't visualise that, all you really need to know is that this boot is slightly bigger than a Volkswagen Golf's. It's about the same as a Kia Ceed, but it's quite a bit smaller than a Skoda Octavia's boot. Thankfully, there's not much of a low lip to lift things over, and the bumper doesn't extend too far out, so it's not too bad when you're loading things out or putting them in. Speaking of which, the shape is nice and square, and it goes back quite a way, so you can fit quite large items in here. Now, if you need to fit really large items, obviously you fold down the rear seats. Ugh. There you go. And before in the Focus, there used to be a bit of a ridge here, but somehow or other they've like raised the boot floor so you don't have that. It means that if you're loading up, you need to like push things to the front. It's easier to do than it used to be. You're probably thinking, well, what other features you got? Well, you've got some tie down points here and here, some bag hooks there and there. Don't go grabbing that because this comes off all too easy. In fact, it's quite easy to knock it off if you're really filling the boot up. Let's just put that back there. Another thing worth noting is that if you go for the Bang & Olufsen sound system, which does sound really good, then you actually lose a little bit of space underneath this boot floor because that is part of the sound system. It's a subwoofer. And that brings us on to 5 annoying things about the Ford Focus. Not only is the driving mode select button in a slightly tricky place, you have to look all the way down there to press it, but you can't actually cycle through the modes by pressing the button. You have to then go onto the screen to select which mode you want. 2 presses and a complete path. The design of the window frames for the door, the way they extend from the actual door body there, kind of makes it easy for you to just like jab yourself like that when you open the door. Believe me, I've done it a few times and it does actually hurt. And it's pointless as well because look, there's no actual window behind there. It's all just filled in with metal. No model comes with a reversing camera as standard. It's an option, even on the range-topping £30,000 car, which is a bit mean. So what's also annoying, the fact it doesn't have a little washer like some other reversing cameras have. So eventually this will get covered in dirt and you'll have to get out and wipe it with your thumb. To fold down the rear seats, you press on these buttons, but they don't press in that hard and they're not levers like on some other cars that you can grab. And so you have to pull the seat down just with the very, very tips of your fingers. It'd be fine if you're one of those people that can like do mountain climbing, but for everyone else, it's a bit hard to do. And of course, when you fold down the seats, because there's no guides for the seat belts, they just flip out like that, and then you end up doing that, which means you've got to go through that whole process again, and you end up with sore fingers, to tell you the truth. There is no place to store the load cover in the boot, look, because there is no room under there, so there has to be kind of wedged in there to make matters worse. As you can see, it's very hard to even fit it in like that. Right, that's enough. Don't worry though, it's not all bad. Here's 5 cool things on the new Ford Focus, such as the adjustable cup holders there, so you can get it just nice and tight for whatever thing you are carrying. So, need to make it a bit bigger for the next bottle. And wedge it in, like there we go. And do you know what? Sometimes you might want to just put your phone there, or something else, I don't know. There we go, and then it keeps that sort of tight. There's no messing around with unscrewing fuel filler caps, you can just pop your nozzle straight in. In the pre-facelifted Ford Focus, you had to go through a menu in the infotainment system to alter the lane keeping assist, whereas now they've introduced a button on this stalk there and you can turn it off entirely so it doesn't beep 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 at you when you're crossing over lines and having some fun on a twisty road. I love the fact that you can get this car with poppy-outy door protectors so that when you open it, you don't have to worry so much about smashing it into a wall or something like that. Your paint will be protected. All Focuses come with a programmable key, so you can set the top speed and how loud the stereo goes, which is handy if you're lending your car to a younger driver. The engine choices for the new Ford Focus are fairly simple. There's 2 1-litre turbo petrols, one has 125 horsepower, the other has 155 horsepower, which is what this car has. You can get those engines with either a 6-speed manual or a 7-speed automatic gearbox. A diesel version will also be available. That's a 1.5 litre with 115 horsepower. However, it's automatic only. Let's see what this Ford Focus is like to drive, starting off with it in town. So this being an ST line version, you have lowered stiffened suspension, but even so, it doesn't feel uncomfy over bumps. It deals with like potholes, badly surfaced roads and speed humps pretty well. If you have the normal suspension setup, it's an absolute dream. One thing I do think about this car though that I'm not so keen on is the gear shift. It's quite a long throw and feels a bit soggy. Then there's the turning circle. So it's a little bit more than its key competitors such as the Volkswagen Golf and Skoda Octavia. It's 11.6 meters. I'm gonna see if I can do my usual turn in this small space. I should be able to, just about, but it was getting a bit nip and tuck there, a little bit. Wasn't sure whether I was going to curb the alloy. Overall visibility is good though, so the dash isn't too high, so the view forward's good. Decent sized back window and large enough door mirrors, though not obtrusively large. It's actually pretty easy to drive in town, and the brakes aren't grabby at all, even though this car has a mild hybrid system, so when you're braking, you actually recoup some energy and put it back into the battery. Now let's see what the Focus is like when you go at faster speeds, such as a dual carriageway or motorway. So I'm going to do a fourth gear roll on from 4 to see what the pickup is like to overtake. So a bit of turbo lag, though the hybrid does help fill that. That's 70 now. So it's adequate. I won't call it fast or punchy. It just about does the job okay. I think if you're going to be doing a lot of motorway work, you are going to be better off with either the high performance petrol, this car, or the diesel. Now when you're travelling at higher speed, I think it's alright, it's quite relaxing. There's not too much noise coming from the road, just a little bit of flutterage from around the door mirrors there. But what about the economy? Well, this car is averaging almost 44 miles to the gallon, which is okay. Yeah, this 1 litre engine is not quite as economical as you might hope. Not terrible though. The thing that really stands out on the Ford Focus is just how much fun it is to drive on a twisty country road. It's really good. Now, this is even better than normal because of that ST suspension setup. The way it just stays nice and flat in the bends, it's really balanced, there's lots of grip. The steering is quick, it's sharp, it's accurate. Makes this thing a right laugh to drive quickly on a twisty road. The only problem that I find with it really is the engine. So let's say you go into a corner, you're going pretty quickly, and then you realise that you're in the wrong gear. What happens is you end up in like this whole big turbo lag zone. Put your foot down, nothing happens, and even though you've got this mild hybrid system, it's not quite enough to pull you out, so you have to change down gear a bit last minute. Oh, that was the warning then. A car in front of us was just turning off and I got a bit too close to it. It thought I was going to have an accident. I wasn't going to have an accident. That was that camera car just turning off. I knew where it was going. Nothing to worry about here. Ford says this car do 0 to 60 in 9 seconds, but what will I get? Here's my specialist timing gear up here. Let's do it. A bit of wheel spin. Brutal gear change. Come on. Front again. 8.75 seconds. Better than I expected. It's actually pretty good. So then, what's my final verdict on the revised Ford Focus? Should you avoid it, consider it, shortlist it, or just go right ahead and buy it? Well, do you know what? I think you should shortlist this car. It really is a good all-round daily driver family car. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know if you agree with my verdict in the comments. If you want to watch some more videos, you just click on those windows there and click on that box there to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already.